Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Talk Time.
Welcome! We're really happy you're here today.
This is English Talk Time, where we help you speak English more naturally in real life.
Exactly. Not textbook English, but real English people actually use every day.
And today's topic is something every English learner needs.
Something simple, but surprisingly powerful.
We're talking about how to introduce yourself in English.
And trust me, the way you introduce yourself can change the entire conversation.
It can help you make friends,
Meet new people,
network professionally,
or simply feel confident speaking English.
because the moment you introduce yourself, you're opening the door to a new connection.
And the best part?
You don't need perfect English to do it well.
You just need a simple structure and a little confidence.
So in today's episode, we'll show you 3 levels of self-introduction,
From very simple,
to more natural and interesting introductions.
and by the end of this episode, you'll be able to introduce yourself comfortably in English.
All right, let's get started. All right. Before we really jump into today's lesson, let me ask you something, Sophia.
What's the question?
Do you remember the very first time you had to introduce yourself in English?
Oh, wow. Yes, I remember that very clearly.
Really?
Yes, and honestly, it was a little embarrassing.
Oh no, what happened?
Well, I remember standing in front of a small group of people. Everyone was introducing themselves in English, and when it was my turn, my mind just went completely blank.
That happens to so many learners.
Exactly. I knew the words in my head, but suddenly I couldn't say anything.
Your brain just freezes.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
You know what's interesting? Almost every English learner has experienced this moment.
That's true.
Because when people speak in a second language, they often feel a lot of pressure.
Pressure to speak perfectly.
Pressure to use the right grammar.
Pressure to avoid mistakes.
And that pressure actually makes speaking harder.
Exactly.
But here's something very important that many learners don't realize.
What's that?
Most people don't expect perfect English.
That's absolutely true.
They just want to understand you.
And they want to know who you are.
Right, because introducing yourself is not a grammar test.
Yes, it's simply a way to start a conversation.
Exactly.
You're basically saying, hello, this is who I am.
And once that door opens, the conversation can begin.
You know what's funny?
Hmm?
Sometimes English learners prepare very long introductions.
Yes, I've seen that.
They memorize paragraphs.
And then they try to say everything perfectly.
But real conversations don't work like that.
Exactly.
Most introductions are actually very simple.
Sometimes just one sentence.
Or two.
And that's enough to start a connection.
The real goal is not to impress people.
It's to connect with people.
And connection happens through natural conversation,
Not perfect grammar.
not complicated words.
Just simple, honest communication.
I really like that.
So if you're listening right now and you feel nervous about introducing yourself in English,
Don't worry.
you're not alone.
Millions of people around the world are learning English just like you.
And every confident English speaker you see today.
Was once a beginner.
Exactly.
So take a deep breath
Relax.
and remember,
Your introduction doesn't need to be perfect.
it just needs to be real.
And in the next part, we're going to show you the simplest way to introduce yourself in English.
The easiest level.
Level 1.
And trust me, you'll see how easy it actually is.
All right, let's start with the easiest level of introducing yourself in English.
I like this part because it's very simple.
Exactly. And sometimes, simple is actually the most powerful.
That's true.
So let's imagine a situation.
Okay.
You walk into a coffee shop. You're standing in line, and the person next to you looks at you and says, "Hi."
That happens all the time.
Right. And now you have a small moment to introduce yourself.
But here's the good news. Your introduction can be extremely simple.
Exactly.
Level 1 only needs one sentence.
Just your name.
That's it.
For example, hi, I'm Daniel.
Hi, Daniel. I'm Sophia. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. And guess what?
Hmm?
That's already a successful introduction. Yes, and many learners think it must be more complicated.
But real conversations often start with something very small.
Exactly.
Just a name.
And once you say your name, the conversation door opens.
I love that idea.
It's like saying, hello, this is who I am.
And the other person can respond.
Now, if you want to add just one more detail, you can say where you're from.
Yes, that's very common.
For example, hi, I'm Daniel. I'm from Canada.
Or, hi, I'm Sophia. I'm from Spain.
See how simple that is?
Very simple.
But it already gives the other person something to talk about.
Exactly. They might say, oh, really? I've always wanted to visit Spain.
Or, Canada? That's amazing. Is it very cold there?
That question comes up a lot.
Yes, it does.
And now suddenly, you're having a conversation.
All because you said two simple sentences.
Your name.
And where you're from.
You know what's interesting? Sometimes learners try to say too much at the beginning.
Yes.
They want to explain their whole life story.
That's true.
But introductions usually grow naturally.
Exactly.
You start small.
Then the conversation slowly becomes deeper.
That's how real communication works.
So, if you're practicing right now, try saying this out loud.
Yes, let's practice together.
Ready?
Here we go.
Say, hi, I'm your name.
I'm from your country. Perfect.
See, that wasn't difficult.
And the more you practice it,
The more natural it will feel.
Soon it will come out automatically.
just like introducing yourself in your native language.
Exactly.
And that's the goal.
Simple, natural communication.
But now, let's make things a little more interesting.
Yes.
In the next level,
We'll add more information to your introduction.
your job,
Where you live.
and a little bit about your life.
And that's where your introduction starts to feel more natural and complete. So let's move to level 2 introductions.
All right. Now that we've covered the simplest introduction,
Level 1.
exactly, just your name and maybe where you're from.
But now it's time to make your introduction a little more interesting.
Right.
Welcome to Level 2.
This is where we add a few more details about your life.
Nothing complicated, just a little more information.
Because when people know more about you,
It becomes easier to continue the conversation.
exactly.
So, what do we add in Level 2?
3 simple things.
First, your name.
Second, where you're from.
And third, what you do.
Your job or what you study.
Let's try an example.
All right.
Hi, I'm Sophia. I'm from Spain, and I'm a university student studying marketing.
Nice.
See, that already tells people something about me.
Exactly. Now let me try. Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm from Canada and I work as a software engineer.
That sounds very natural.
And now you already know a few things about me.
Yes, you're from Canada,
Correct?
and you work in technology.
Exactly.
So now I can ask you questions.
Right.
For example, what kind of software do you build?
Or I could ask you, why did you choose marketing?
And suddenly the conversation continues.
That's the secret.
Your introduction should invite conversation.
Not end it.
You know something interesting? When people hear what you do,
They often feel curious. That's true.
for example, if someone says,
I'm a chef.
people immediately say,
What kind of food do you cook?
exactly. Or if someone says,
I'm a student.
people will ask.
What are you studying?
So adding your job or studies helps the conversation grow.
And that's exactly what we want.
Now let's make the introduction a little longer.
Good idea.
Here's a level 2 example. Hi, I'm Sophia. I'm from Spain, I live in Madrid, and I'm a marketing student at university.
Nice. Now listen to mine. Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm from Canada. I live in Toronto, and I work as a software engineer.
That sounds very natural.
And it only takes a few seconds to say,
Exactly.
but it gives people a clear picture of who you are.
Now, let's practice with our listeners.
Yes, this is the fun part.
If you're listening right now,
Try introducing yourself using level 2.
say 3 things:
Your name
where you're from,
and what you do.
All right, now we've reached the most interesting level of introductions.
Yes, this is my favorite part.
Because this is where your introduction becomes more than just information.
It becomes your personality.
Exactly.
Level 1 was very simple.
Just your name.
Level 2 added where you're from and what you do.
But level 3 is where you add who you really are.
Your interests.
Your hobbies.
Things you enjoy doing in life.
Because here's something important. People don't connect with facts.
They connect with stories.
That's very true.
For example, imagine someone says, "Hi, I'm Alex. I work in finance."
Okay, that's fine.
But now imagine they say, "Hi, I'm Alex. I work in finance, but my real passion is traveling and photography."
Oh, wow. That already sounds more interesting.
Exactly. Now I want to ask questions.
Like, where have you traveled?
Or what kind of photos do you take?
And suddenly, the conversation becomes exciting.
Let's build a level 3 introduction together.
All right.
Start with your name,
Hi, I'm Daniel.
add where you're from,
I'm from Canada.
add what you do.
I'm a software engineer.
Now add personality.
Thinking. And in my free time, I love hiking in the mountains and exploring nature.
See, now I already imagine you walking through forests and mountains.
Exactly.
Now let me try one.
All right.
Hi, I'm Sophia. I'm from Spain. I'm studying marketing at university, and I love photography and painting.
That sounds very creative.
I try.
Now let's talk about hobbies.
Yes, hobbies are conversation gold.
Because people love talking about things they enjoy.
Exactly.
For example, you could say, I love playing football on weekends.
Or, I enjoy reading mystery novels.
Or, I love cooking new recipes.
Or even, I spent my free time learning languages.
That's a good hobby for English learners.
Definitely. Pause.
You can also say why you like something.
Yes, that makes your introduction feel more natural.
For example, I love hiking because it helps me relax.
Or, I enjoy photography because I love capturing beautiful moments.
That sounds very poetic.
Maybe a little. Short pause.
Now, here's a fun idea. Let's imagine we just met at a party.
All right.
I walk up and say, Hi, I'm Daniel.
Hi, Daniel. I'm Sophia. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Where are you from?
I'm from Spain, but I'm studying in London right now.
Oh, nice. What are you studying?
Marketing. And I love photography, so London is perfect for taking photos.
That sounds amazing. See how natural that conversation feels?
Exactly. Because the introduction invites curiosity. Short pause.
Now, let's do a quick challenge for our listeners.
Yes, let's practice.
If you're listening right now, try introducing yourself using level 3.
Say 4 things.
Your name,
Where you're from,
what you do.
something you enjoy.
Ready? Go ahead and say it out loud.
Pause for listener practice. Great job.
See? That's a complete introduction.
Pause. And remember,
You don't need perfect English.
just be friendly
Be honest.
and share a little about yourself. Smiles. Because that's how real conversations begin.
And in the next part, we're going to talk about something very useful.
How to continue the conversation after introducing yourself.
Because introductions are only the beginning.
The real magic happens when the conversation continues.
All right, everyone. Before we finish today's episode, let's quickly remember what we learned.
Yes, let's review the 3 levels of introducing yourself in English.
Level 1 is the simplest.
Just your name.
For example, Hi, I'm Daniel.
Or, "Hi, I'm Sophia."
Level 2 adds a little more information.
Your name, where you're from, and what you do.
For example, "Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm from Canada and I work as a software engineer."
And level 3 is where things get interesting.
That's where you add your personality,
Your hobbies.
your interests.
The things that make you, you.
Because the goal of English isn't to sound perfect.
It's about connecting with people.
And remember something very important. Every confident English speaker you see today,
Was once a beginner.
so don't be afraid to speak.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Mistakes are actually part of learning.
Sometimes they even make great stories later.
That's very true.
Now we want to hear from you.
Yes, this is your chance to practice.
Go to the comments section and introduce yourself.
Tell us 3 simple things.
Your name, where you're from, and one thing you love doing.
For example, "Hi, I'm Alex. I'm from Brazil and I love playing football."
Or, hi, I'm Maria. I'm from Italy, and I love cooking.
We love reading your comments.
And it's a great way to practice English with other learners.
If this episode helped you today,
Please click the like button
subscribe to the channel,
and share this episode with someone learning English.
because together we can help more people feel confident speaking English.
And in our next episode,
We're going to talk about something extremely useful.
how to start small talk in English without feeling awkward.
You won't want to miss that one.
Until next time,
Keep practicing.
keep speaking.
And remember,
English isn't about perfection.
it's about connection.
See you next time.
See you next time.